Welcome to the Miami Real Estate Show for the first time. Hopefully it's not the first one, the only one. All right. And, I follow your work for a long time. Let me tell you, my brother, who is extremely analytical, I'm not as analytical, loves your work too. And I want to get started by asking you how you got started in real estate, first and foremost.
So I'll give you the short version of it. So I started back, like a lot of the agents today who are established. I started back in 2008, and so this is a little, I say nostalgic for me, but this is obviously starting to feel a little bit familiar in some ways, very different in others to when I started in the market. And I started like a lot of people. We just talked about this earlier. No budget, no experience. Coming up against big agents who just I felt I wasn't at their level and wouldn't be at their level. And, a lot of it, at the early days was tough. I think that the first couple of years in the business often is a lesson in endurance. It's perseverance. It's just grafting. And there's no tricks. There's no like, hey, I've got the secret. Come here, I'll tell you the secret. There is no secret. It's just good old hard fashioned work. And what's actually happened is that I started just, like a lot of agents doing rentals, working through it, but then fast-tracked. In 2010, I looked at the reports in the market that were produced by the main brokerage houses, and I've said this before in other videos, and I just thought there was a gap. I just thought it was a little too general. It wasn't specific enough, and it didn't have that kind of grassroots information that you get from being in the field. So I wrote The Investor's Guide to Brickell and Downtown, just as we were coming out of the recession
So time out, very important. Time out, just what you just said. Repeat the title again. The Investor's
Guide to Brickell and Downtown.
Okay, so very important, guys. Where is David's name on that title? Nowhere. It's all about focusing the message, the content on the final user so you can get their attention. Very good. Okay, let's continue because this is a very good point. Marketing is a 4-step process. They're getting their attention, developing their interest, desire, and finally action. So right there, the Investor's Guide to Brickell and Downtown. If I'm an investor that's thinking about Brickell and Downtown, that's exactly what I want to get. Very good, Dave. Very good. All right.
So thank you. So I wrote that, and it took me about a month to write it. I didn't have any budget. I got a friend of mine who was a graphic artist to essentially do it for free. I said, I'll pay you the first deal I get. I'll give you 20% of what I make. Good. So he said, hey, why not? I still use them today. We're good friends. Yeah. So I produced this report. I just put it through a website called Issue, which allows you, there's many websites now you can just broadcast information on. Back then, we didn't have the same platforms that we have right now. We put it into a PDF, and I made sure that the keyword searches were there. So, the key phrase, investing in Brickell and Downtown, was a commonly searched for term in Google. So that became the title. Put it out there, and then literally, one day I'm walking around shopping with my wife, and then my phone just blows up. I think I've got like 40 phone calls in the day. Okay. And I just, after that moment, I realized that was like a lightning in a bottle moment, when I realized that this was the way I was going to change the business for me. This is my identity.
Listen, very good, guys. So we say we are in the business of marketing. We coach a lot of top agents, and the top agents are always saying, this is all about marketing, right? So whatever business you're in, remember that it's all about marketing. But what fuels your marketing, because we said that people think, David, okay, now look, I have a real estate license. Now I'm a real estate agent. When in fact, what they are, it's secret agents, right? Nobody knows who they are. So that's why marketing is so important. But what fuels the marketing is the content, right? So you just show us how important content was for you, and how important it is for your business, that you have not only a quarterly report, you have many quarterly reports, right? Yeah. So talk to me about, to everybody in the line, how important content has been for you through the years. You had an aha moment, right? Which is over 40 calls in one day. So tell me about content, how important that has been for you, and how had that helped you in your business.
So look, content is really, for me, it's a fundamental pillar of my business. The basis of content is about, as our strapline of our business, and I've said it in many articles and reports and videos, help the client to make a better decision. The content is all driven. Everything that we say, everything that we do is about helping clients make better decisions. There's an added value element to that. It's not just if you do what everyone else does, you get what everyone else gets. So,
very good.
You know, the thought there was, let's give them something that they don't have.
Right.
And
now,
everything that we did, that was it.
And very important, and I suggest you follow David. And as I said, follow me and copy me if you want. Okay, don't bother. Just follow. Go to our channels, go to our social media, and do exactly what I do. That's okay. So look at what David said. Content is the central pillar, and we say, David, we got to change the message from the agent-centric approach to the client-centric approach. And when I've seen your videos, when I've seen your content, it's never about David or how amazing David is. It's David getting out of the car, explaining a market, explaining the best neighborhoods, the opportunities in the market, right? Because the typical advertisement from the typical real estate agent has 4 things, right? Number 1, they're what? Their picture, right? From 87 years ago. Number 2, it's I'm the number 1. I never met David, a number 56 agent in the country. Everybody's number 1, right? Yeah. Number 3 is a call to action, call me, right? And number 4, again, it's I'm a specialist everywhere. But your content is completely different. And I would like to share the screen later in the interview so they can see the content, the PDF, the titles you have to it, all right? Because I think that'll be an amazing. Do you have a story about any particular client that got to you because of that content, because of the quarterly reports that you didn't know this person? And
I gotta tell you, 50% of my clients today come to me through my online information, and it grows. And I've always said this, look, you can do what I do. Anyone can do what I do to a degree. You've just got to invest the time in doing it. And I think that, you know, when we're out there, we're looking to try to be the smartest guy in the room. I've always felt frustrated that realtors haven't been elevated to the same level as, say, you know, wealth fund managers or private advisors in the stock market. Because when you really do study this, and it's a very complicated animal, you've got to know your subject matter. And then you've got to be able to share your subject matter. Because as my old marketing coach, say my lecturer at university said to me, you can have the best mousetrap in the world, but if no one knows about it, no one's going to buy it. So you've got to get that knowledge, and then you've got to find a platform to share it. The beauty of it is now there are so many platforms to share this information. It's exponentially easier to share your knowledge now these days than it did before. And with my clients, what I try to do, as always, again, coming back to this point, is add value to what they need. It's not generalized information. Generalized conversations about real estate don't make any sense. So if you're going to be an expert,
generalized information about real estate doesn't make any sense. I love the word you said. All right, explain that. Yeah.
So I remember saying that in actually one of my first marketing videos that came out about the team, and I'm driving in my car at the beginning and I'm pulling out of a car park and I'm talking about, and I said that very quote. And the more the years, and this is going back a good 6 years, the more I think about that comment, the more true it is every year that I go through the business. And I realized that, you know, you cannot just write a Miami report. You've got to get niche. You've got to decide on what sector you're going to go after. Because the thing about Miami right now, this is a very interesting conversation to have, is people will say, so what's going on in the Miami market? And the answer was, well, which market? We have 14 different neighborhoods. We have condos and houses, and we have 5 different price points. So you've got 150 variable answers. Right. Who are you talking to? Yeah. And what's your answer going to be to that group?
Very good. And the point that we make on that is that the analogy we make is, David, who makes more money? The general doctor or the specialist? The specialist, right? Yeah. But who makes more money? That specialist, that doctor who's a specialist, or Dr. Oz from TV? Definitely Dr. Oz. Why? Because he becomes the celebrity, right? And that's what we urge agents to become, the celebrity in their little community, right? Yep. It's not about Miami. In this case, if you're listening from Miami, it's not about becoming the agent in Miami. It's almost impossible. It's becoming the celebrity in your little community. Start with your building and then expand to 80 to 90 properties sold within a mile radius. That's the idea. So again, very, very important. You said also about nobody knowing about your product, right?
Yes.
So The key right here is about frequency and consistency. And I want to jump into that with you. Okay, now we understand how important content is, and more important, how it's been to your business. Now, how often do you produce that content? What is the frequency and consistency you have in the different platforms? So how often do you produce a report? And number two, how often are they in your four marketing platforms? Email, social media, online, and offline marketing.
Yeah, they're everywhere. It's nonstop. Okay. It is a never-ending, call it battle, never-ending process, never-ending journey. Life is a journey, not a destination, as they say. Right. Fall in love with the process. Right. And this is one of the things that, look, for me, I enjoy doing this. For my love, I like writing, I like producing this content. For someone else, there might be some other avenue through social media, through marketing that they enjoy. But be true to yourself, be genuine. And yes, obviously put that information out there through all the different portals that you can. And I'm lucky enough to have an amazing team out there. Right. So, you know, I'm talking to Em and Chris and Stefania and Faye and Luce, and I'm talking to my whole team here who support me, because it takes a village. It really does. It takes a village. And I'm very lucky to have a team that's been with me for many years. Now, it takes time for that to grow and develop. And that journey that you go on is part of the love of the business that I have today. I would like to say this as well, that as you're learning, as you're experiencing and understanding what's going on in the market, everyone collaborates. Talking to other agents. I will have conversations with so many amazing, there's so many amazing agents in the business. People at Douglas Elliman who are incredible minds, agents in New York, agents in LA, agents in other brokerage houses that are dear friends of mine and have been for years. You cannot know everything, but you can if you're open to talk. Don't see each other as competition. See each other as partners. 100%.
And one of the top agents, and you know him, Riley Smith, says the same.
Great guy. Love him.
Great guy. Everybody loves him, right? Yeah. And he collaborates all the time. Yeah. Agents are your co-workers, not your competition. Very good point. Let me go back to marketing in terms of email marketing. You know, most of us in the business, we are adamant about email marketing. All right. Yeah. And you see, and you work with Douglas Elliman, and you have some of the top agents in the country, and they are adamant about email marketing. What about your frequency, your consistency through email marketing? How often, how many times a day, how many times a week, etc.?
So my operations director, Chris, and my head of marketing, Luce, handle a lot of that process. But I will say this, yes, we email all the time. The difference is we don't email the same thing all the time. Every message is different. Don't bore people with it's like going up to someone and patting them on the shoulder and say, excuse me, I'm a realtor. It gets very annoying very quickly. I think you have to be continuously sharing information. Don't email the same person every day. Maybe you email them once, but with the tools that you have now, especially if you look at MailChimp, you can see who opened your emails. If they didn't open, you can hit them up again because they won't have seen it the first time. Have a strategy, build an email plan. And obviously, you know, it varies according to season, because bear in mind, and this is very important, this is something that I learned, I think when I was back at university and I was studying economics and majored in marketing, what I looked at was that I think there were about 7 touch points. That was the point of which you would touch somebody once, and it would take 6 or 7 times before they made a decision to purchase a service or a product. Today, I think it's 15 to 20. It's definitely gone up.
19 is the number, but yeah.
19, there you go. I mean, it's even higher than I thought. 19 times. And so, yes.
Because there's so much noise, right?
There's so much noise. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is so much noise and everyone's screaming. And you don't have to be screaming the loudest sometimes. You don't have to be so much in someone's face, ramming it down their throat to say, hey, you've got to listen to this. You can do it in a strategic way. And having the right marketing partners and being strategic about this is part of this education, part of this game. So yes, you'll send the email, but you'll do it, you know, you do a blast through your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your Instagram, and, you know, the mechanisms online and retargeting and all these incredible tools that allow people to be touched without hitting them over the head with a bat.
So and that's the big point for you guys watching today. Understand that back in the the 1990s, you needed an editor to allow you to write and for people to see your content. Yeah. Back in the 90s, you needed a producer to allow you to be on TV. Now, you are your own producer. You are your own editor. You don't need anybody's permission. What you need is to become an expert. We're not even asking you to write content. We're asking you to become an expert and communicate your expertise. It's that simple. And how expensive is it, David, to have an email marketing system and sequence, social media, and online marketing? It's very inexpensive.
And automated. And automated a lot of the time.
And automated, right? And there are so many good systems out there, right? And we provide some of those systems. We have the website, the email, the automation, the segmentation. You can send the same thing to buyers and sellers. They have completely different needs and goals, right? So what you said is segmenting, not email the same people every day. Just, I'm a realtor is providing the value. So David, what are you doing today, 2020? Apart from what's going on right now?
Yes.
What are you doing today at the end of last quarter, 2019? What are you doing to grow your business? What's the number one thing that is working for you?
The number one thing that works for me, and it's probably true last year as it is this year, but what I've been focusing on is, right now, I've realized that everyone is looking for answers. They're trying to figure out which way the wind is blowing. And so I decided that this year when I wrote we're right now, a little plug here, we're at part 5 of my Q1 report. We're doing 8 parts and we've just done part 5, part 6 comes out tomorrow. And we broke it down into
8-part report.
This is an 8-part report. Yes. Each part is one blog and, it cross-links to other areas. So you'll be able to go and register for that and read it. And I encourage everyone to do that. We made it a little different. What we did was, we decided to answer the key questions that everyone was asking. It's really simple. If you want a better answer, come up with a better question. So we thought, what are the questions that everybody wants to hear about? And we put that out there. And obviously we already have the engine in place. So for us, as this pandemic developed, and everybody's obviously got social distancing and they're held up at home, our digital footprint was already well in place to position us and expose us to the audience that we wanted exposed to. And that's been, absolutely massive. The other thing is just, dare I say it, it's an easy thing to forget and it happens all the time, is going out and reaching back to your clients, the ones that you've worked with over the years, checking on them, making sure they're okay. Keep doing that farming, keep educating them, because don't assume they know what's going on.
And David, right here, I'm sharing with you. I don't know if you can see the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm putting your report right here so people can see what you're doing, right?
If you scroll through, you can see part 3, part 2, my analytics dashboard. If you look, since since March the 15th, you can see how many articles we've written.
Right here. And by the way, you go by area, then you go into condominiums, and then you go into the opportunities. It's so detailed, which, by the way, for those of you guys to understand that this is not only the content for your marketing campaigns, that's what's going to fuel your content, your marketing campaigns, but even as important or more important is that your ability to communicate is going to be much higher. When you speak to a client, all right, that's when you provide the value. So these are key. I highly suggest you look at David's report. And David, I know we're going to talk about a platform you have, which you also can have access. You're in beta right now. Am I mistaken?
Yeah. Well, we have multiple. We actually have 3 softwares that we've developed that don't exist anywhere else, elsewhere. The first one is called the NEST, the Neighborhood Economic Health Score. Think of it almost like a credit score for your neighborhood. We were trying to gauge how healthy or how sick or how vulnerable, you could say, what the immune system of a neighborhood is like to survive negative economic change. And so we created this score to score up each neighborhood submarket. Submarket is a price point in a neighborhood. So we've covered that across the whole area. That's the first. The second is built in my advanced analytics, which will enable anyone, you can go on there and see it for yourself, it's open,
By the way, yeah, I put the link to your site right here, so everybody can go and see it. And if they want to follow you or ask you a question, they can go there.
Yeah,
so the second one?
Absolutely. And tell me if I'm doing anything wrong, please.
Right, that's the idea. Right?
I'm definitely not omnipotent. I think that's to be made clear here. I mean, we're all trying to learn. So the advanced analytics obviously breaks down the housing market and the condo market, and it shows what's happened in the last 2 years by quarter. So that's just a quick way to kind of see, okay, number of sales, months of inventory, dollar per square foot as a kind of like a nice base of information that you can work off as you're looking at properties.
Okay.
And the third one, which is the monster, this is the one that absolutely is going to, I think it's changing the way that I'm doing business, the way I'm talking to clients, and the way clients are actually understanding the markets too. I am a partner within a group called Condo Geeks, and this is a combination of myself, there's 4 of us. The other members actually come from the financial markets, one from Goldman Sachs, one from Merrill, and the other one's in AI, developed AI technologies. What we've done is we've essentially created a Bloomberg terminal for real estate. And that might sound, a big statement, but what we've done is we've able to look at the markets at a macro level and allow clients and customers to be able to drill down from an entire city down to a neighborhood, down to a building, down to a subset of that. So you can start to see patterns and trends. You can see the behavior in an entire economic cycle. And that's obviously important, because the thing that happens with a lot of real estate analysis, which I've learned over the years, is that when we do most of our, what I call our when we do our CMAs, which we all know is our comparative market analysis, and we're looking at one property, we're comparing it to a subset of maybe 5 or 6 or 10 other properties. That's great to get a snapshot at that moment in time. But how do we factor in macroeconomic situations? How do we factor in COVID? How do we factor in the stock market? How do we factor in exchange rates and all these things that can massively impact a neighborhood immediately or 6 months, a year down the line? And so when you start to see a bigger picture, when your peripheral vision widens, which is exactly what this does, you can see patterns across an entire neighborhood, across an entire economic cycle. You can see buildings that were strong that got weaker, buildings that were weaker that got stronger. You can see ceiling limits on dollar per square foot. You can see baseline numbers. You can see a lot of patterns that are very, very helpful to help your clients make a decision. And that's the software that we've now developed that, we're getting ready to launch it. I can't say much more than that, but this is something that if you want to know more, you can reach out to me. Okay.
Yeah. And Mario Fernandez asks right here, is that program only for his team or available to the public?
Right now, it's actually only available to myself and my team. We will be making it available to other agents in the coming months. Obviously, who and how we make it available we're in discussions of that at the moment. Look, if any of you out there want to know more and you have questions of it, pick up the phone and give me a call. And I can fill you in. I think you'll get a lot. If you read the reports, as you go through every section of this Q1 2020 report, we feature screens taken from the dashboard. And I won't even have to explain it. As soon as you look at it, it will become immediately apparent of what it does and how it can help you.
Right. And by the way, for some of you who are not analytical, that's okay. Maybe you don't have to go that in depth into the information, but understand that giving some basic information that most agents are not. There are 6 things, David, at minimum that you need to know, right, to get started. So, listen, I'm a new agent. I'm a kind of seasoned agent, but I'm not that experienced, right? I don't know how to digest all that information. But everybody can answer these 6 questions, at least by looking at the MLS. Number 1, number of properties for sale. Start with your building, then your community. Average price per square foot, highest for sale, lowest for sale, and days on the market. If I don't have that basic information about my community, it's very difficult for me to make the case that I'm the person who can help the seller.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is, you used to have to do this manually. You used to have to do this yourself. Okay. You can do this in 1 second on this system. It'll take you 1 second, and any building in Miami, it can give you the dollar per square foot performance across the last economic cycle every year since the building was built. It'll give you the high, it'll give you the low, it'll give you the discounts, it'll give you the days on the market, it'll give you everything that you need to know. And even if you're a new agent, and I know it's very overwhelming, so for those agents who are watching that do feel new to the business, and even those who are more experienced, This will give you that information without you having to kind of feel like you just fried your brain.
Right.
It'll be there for everyone.
David, for you, the number one marketing tool right now is an email marketing, it's a social media, it's an online marketing, it's an offline marketing. What's the number one thing that's working for you right now?
The number one tool that I use right now, which is all part of my lead capture. I mean, again, I build a system where I'm writing and I'm obviously getting traction and people registering. But for me, I use a software. One of my tools that's just springing to mind right now that I'm using a lot is Follow Up Boss.
Okay.
For me, it captures a lot of leads. I'm able to get them on my phone and react to them quickly. Remember, you've got the clock is ticking. Once you get a lead through, someone reaches out to you, don't sit on it. You've got to act on it. You've got to be ready, because they can go on your website and they can see what you've done. And, 5 minutes later, they see somebody else and they like their stuff too. Don't let all your hard work and all your marketing go in someone else's pocket.
Exactly. There you go. So another question that I have from Harry said, how far out are you forecasting based on market factors? These factors include crude, S&P 500, 30-year rates, low inventory levels. How do you see the market in 2020? I'll give my take, but first I want to hear yours.
So part 6 of my report, which is kind of appropriately just this question, covers the economic factors in play right now and the socioeconomic and the demographic. So let's just look at a few things that are happening. And I think it's very clear, as everyone says, is that anyone who forecasts more than 6 months out is full of it. It's not possible. There are too many macro variables at play here that we simply have no ability to have control over. Ask me 3 months ago what would have happened in the market. Guarantee you it's going to be a totally different answer to what I'm giving you today.
So how are you answering the buyers and sellers objections? For example, buyers right now thinking about holding on writing offers, and sellers thinking about taking the properties out of the market. I'll give you the answer to the objections that I have, but I want to hear you first.
So I think, first of all, just like we always said, don't have a generalized conversation about that. What kind of buyer and what kind of seller are you talking about? Let's take, for example, and I dealt with this a few days ago. A house came on the market in Coral Gables. We came in strong. We were outbid by 2 people above us, one at full price and one over asking. Okay. That is not what you might expect in another market.
Okay.
That, if you are right now, let's give you some variables. Let's just give you a few of the economic breakdowns of things that are at play here. First of all, if you own a house right now, are we seeing a lot of new product coming into the market? No, we're not, because the ability to actually take pictures and do videos and all that stuff is obviously a little bit hindered, and obviously everyone keeping social distancing. So we're seeing a slowdown of new product coming into the market. What we're also finding at the same time is we're seeing buyers coming in from the relocation still trying to get here. And a lot of them psychologically are trying to speed up that process. There's been a bit of an existentialist awakening. So there's the psychology of buyers right now within the single family market. There's a supply demand issue. Certainly everyone tends to focus on the supply. They focus, on the demand. They're always like, do people want this? Do people want that? How strong is the demand? But remember, the supply is 50% of the equation as well. So if you don't have new product coming into the market,
that's a great point. That
can really affect things. So look at that. Look at the effect of the Fed rates and what's that doing right now. I mean, think about some of the things that the Fed are doing. And one of my parts is I interview a very, very smart financial advisor called David Gruen, who talks about how there are, tax reliefs for sellers. We talk about, the effect of tax relocations and the saving money there. We talk about the influence that we're seeing in a lot of other aspects within the market. Supply of on the other side of the market, you've got the condo market where you've got a lot of supply. Let me ask you a question about, here's another thing to think about. The currency. Think about the currency today. Think about why the market was so strong from 2012 to 2015, because at the time, the dollar wasn't that expensive to South American buyers. And then it went away. What happens, again, hypothetical, what happens if we start printing a lot of money and the dollar loses value down the line?
But even with the currency, even right now, and we see international clients wanting to purchase in South Florida including in this current environment, because of the security that the system and the real estate market provides for them. They're not even thinking about returns.
It's hard asset. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can't even buy, like, if you want to buy gold coins right now, you have to do in limited quantities. Why? Because it's a movement to hard asset. If you deal with a weakened stock market, if you deal with hyperinflation and a weaker dollar, you move to a hard asset, you move to real estate. And Miami's in a very unique position, guys. I mean, it's interesting to see when I look at Los Angeles, I look at New York. Miami is a place that has a lot of tax benefits. It doesn't have a lot of supply in certain areas like the single family market. But the difference between this time round and last time is that there's enormous amounts of liquidity out there. And
so, and that's key. The liquidity is locally, the liquidity from the Northeast, from California as well, and international clients. Now, that being said, there are two objections we are getting, right? Objections from buyers and from sellers. Let's talk about sellers, that people that, want to hold for a moment and listen, I want to take my property off the market, right? So number one, the traffic is there. Mr. Seller, do you think properties are going to go down or are going to go up? Usually, sellers are going to tell you, I think properties are going to go down. That's a general idea in terms of general market. Okay, second question, Mr. Seller. Do you think there are going to be more sellers in the future or fewer sellers? Usually the consensus is there's going to be more people, more supply, more sellers. Got it. All right. So why would you take your property off the market and put it back in the market when you are telling me that in the near future, there are going to be more properties for sale and properties are going to go down? In general terms, that's the negative message from the sellers. And number three, Mr. Seller, very simple, right? This is the time when most buyers are looking for properties. They have not much to do. They're at home. Right? So why would you take your property off the market if you think the properties are going to go down, there's going to be more supplies, and there's more people looking at it right now? Those are for the people that are negative right now. That's a great way, I think, to have the seller's objections right now.
It's very important to understand different price points, because at different price points, different people are affected massively. And they're not all going to behave the same. But you're absolutely right. Look, Paul Krugman, who is a well-known economist, actually said we're in a self-induced coma. And the question, obviously, as we come out of that, I foresee in certain markets, we're going to deal with a bottleneck. Mark my words, and I'm going to say this and hang myself on the line here. Okay. I think when the markets open up and we're allowed to do open houses again, you're going to see a couple of weekends where a lot of new listings come on, and you are going to be 50 clients deep into those properties. Right now, I've got buyers who are looking, and there's not enough product. There simply isn't. So please, anybody out there who has a listing coming into the market, anywhere between $1 and $3 million, please give me a call, okay? In the housing market, there just isn't enough of it. And I am not slowing down, not seeing any sign of slowdown.
Right. So one more question here, Mario asks, what are the other changes you think banks and lenders will do during this period? I mean, in order to create new loans for buyers.
Well, the lending parameters, and obviously what the banks are doing right now is they're being allowed, let's say, to lower the interest rates, and the Feds are actually buying up a lot of these loans. They're consolidating a lot and buying these up. So look, certain banks are getting tight. I've heard over the last couple of days, Chase and Wells Fargo obviously are getting tighter. In the other capacities, you've also got other lenders out there who are going to be trying to work around this and push hard. Okay. I think that there is no straightforward answer. You can't just say, yeah, things are going to get easier, or things are going to get harder. It depends on the category of group that you're talking about. But I think that question, if you want a good answer for that, read my section 6 tomorrow, because there's a very good podcast I do with this. Which one? Number 6, part 6 of my report tomorrow. You'll be able to, that'll be answered.
David, a question from Steven says, did you build your website yourself, or did you hire a company to do that?
Oh God, did I build it myself? Yeah.
I don't think so.
I got all the time in the world. No, I did not. No, I used a group called Trem, who built my website. They've built many other sites for other very good top agents. Right. Whoever you work with, and it doesn't matter who you work with, you've got to obviously have a group that you feel is fitting. You have to invest the time really crafting it and developing it. Generic, like I said, do what everyone else does, get what everyone else gets. If you build a generic site, you have no differential. Why would someone hire you just because your face looks different to someone else's face?
Exactly. And that's the difference. David, you're talking about such an important point, right? Most agents have a digital brochure or a digital business card as a website. They have their picture, they're experts everywhere. They have the IDX or the search, and they put from Homestead to Aventura to Coral Gables everywhere, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that you need is a system that has the following things. Number one, the right content for buyers and sellers segmented, right? Yeah. With the right area in your website, and then an email marketing system behind it to generate enough frequency and consistency. I'm going to do a plug right here. So if you want that, you can email me at Orlando@Montiel Organization. This is what we call the real estate black box, which is not only the training to generate and convert leads, but also we develop with specific content automation for buyers and sellers, everything that you need, the website, the email marketing, everything in content, and for buyers and sellers and the guides. If you're interested, just email us and research that. This is not the only system. There are very good systems, but you need that segmentation. You need that automation. It's key to your business. So I want to go back again to marketing. David, yeah. You do a lot of videos, YouTube, right? And you do a lot of, well, how is that working for you? What are you, how are videos working for you?
How's it working for me? Pretty good. Pretty good. Look, I've said this before, like my first videos that I did, and we spoke about this just before we came on online. My first videos were horrible. I mean, it was a train wreck. And a good friend of mine, who I've known for years, Denise, so if she gets to hear this, she'll know what we're talking about. Basically would say, you know, somebody would come into the office on Friday and say, here's a new technology. And by Monday I'd implemented it. Not well, not perfectly, but I've done it. And the point is that don't overthink it. Don't decide that you've got to make, you know, you're going to do a Martin Scorsese masterpiece. No, just get in front of the camera, have something to say, be genuine, be legitimate, be vulnerable if you have to, but be sincere, but add value. If you just say something for the sake of saying it, it always would drive me crazy. Some agent driving along in a Ferrari and then talking about how amazing they are at selling real estate. No, prove it. Give somebody something that they can make a better decision with.
Listen, you just made, I want you, I don't know if you noticed when I asked David about how video is working for him, his face light up. I don't know if you noticed that because it's so powerful. Video allows you to truly communicate who you are and allows you to truly develop the message that you are the expert. By the way, the cheapest way to get to a lead is through video, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Do a post, do a campaign, Facebook, Instagram, and do it on content, picture, or do it on video. And you see how much traffic you get through video. By the way, you do a post on Instagram, the only people that see it is your family and your friends, who the majority are real estate agents. You do an Instagram video right on your story, it has a much higher reach. But if you do an IGTV, it goes way, way, way higher. By the way, you want to reduce the cost of your lead generation, do YouTube videos. It's amazing how it works. I'm going back to the point of David. I want to show you something. I want to show the audience. And if you can show your YouTube video, I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to show mine right here. And if you want me to show yours, look at this one right here. I'm going to put right here. I want to go to videos right here. And this one is in Spanish because, of course, my audience is in Spanish. But I want to show you something. I want to show you the video that has been seen the most right here. This is over 460,000 people in my office. This is the weekly show nationwide with 28,000. Not even a quarter of what I've been able to generate in the office. Look at this, in the office. So back to David's point, and follow this and copy my material if you want. I don't mind at all. Following David's lead is you don't have to be perfect. You go to our Montiel organization right here. Let me show you this one. And follow what we do, copy it. I highly recommend you copy it. We have Riley Smith, we have Dina. Dina is in your company. Dina.
Yeah, Dina, we've done work together.
Dina is an amazing agent. I'm gonna put it here. And David, if you wanna share your channel, I'll.
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and put in David Siddons, I mean, you know, some of the stuff gets a lot of views, some less so. But, you know, there's a good reason why YouTube is the second most heavily trafficked search engine on the planet, which means people are looking for information on YouTube.
Exactly.
So just, put it out there. And again, there's ways to boost it. There's ways to plug it. But one thing that I think sometimes people forget, and it's important to do it, don't do it because you just feel like I should do it because I want to be somewhat of a real estate celebrity. The purity of it, if you learn, everything I do, I've learned something from every blog, every vlog, every report I've ever done. If no one ever read any of my stuff, I'd be a better agent for it, because I have proved myself wrong as many times as I proved myself right. I've learned in the process, and it's been wonderful to really go on this educational voyage as I've put through this, and I've put myself kind of warts and all exposed on the camera. And it's been great, and I recommend anyone to do it. But I mean, again, make sure that you're adding value. Obviously, look, your stuff is adding value. Every time someone clicks on a video, they're going to get some information that helps them be better at what they want to be better at, being a better agent.
And that's the idea, guys. And I'll give you the short formula for you to copy. And you can go to our channel, and you'll see that it's a 4-step process. It's very simple. You tell the audience what you're going to say. Then you say it. Then you summarize what you said. And then you ask them to subscribe, and follow the next video. That's it. Can you say that? Hey, listen, I'm going to talk about the last week's statistics for Brickell. These are the statistics for Brickell. As I mentioned, these were the statistics for Brickell. And stay tuned for my next week's statistic for Brickell. Make sure to subscribe. That's the formula, guys. Go to our channel and see that. That is so simple if you become that expert. Yeah.
But the other thing I think is really important as well is consistency in this, because the thing that you'll notice, obviously, with your site and seeing so many videos that you have, and anybody else that you might be following, whether it's like Gary Vee, or maybe you're really into, Ryan Serhant, they didn't become an expert because somebody watched one video. You watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've done over 460 videos now. And they don't all get the same amount of views, but what it does do is it layers the level of education and skill that we have. So people say, oh, this guy's consistently educating the market, and that's valuable, and that builds credibility.
Exactly. Look, at your point, that consistency is the key. And maybe you can see it from a different point. If what David just said doesn't resonate immediately with you, it's all about frequency and consistency. Understand, think about a YouTube video as a 24/7 virtual salesperson. And the more you do of them, the more you can position yourself, because this is a beautiful thing. Once they click on your video, next time they go to YouTube, what happens? It's going to be recommended. Right? And the more videos you have, the more you position yourself as the expert in front of that client. So I highly recommend that. You've seen David, you've seen many agents doing that. David.
I would like to actually say as well, for those agents out there, and I do this all the time, actually, I went to see a property a couple of days ago, and one of the agent there, Daniel Tinker, little shout out to him. He said, look, David, can we do a little piece together? Can we do a little video here for my Instagram? Collaborate. I've shot many videos last year with other agents, accept sometimes that you're not going to be an absolute expert in an area, but be humble enough to interview and talk to other people to share their experiences and their information, because it makes you look holistically more educated and a smarter individual. So, I mean, again, much like what we're doing right now, we're talking to each other about...
Well, we're helping each other, and we're helping our community.
Yeah.
Right?
So partner up. Find a big agent. Hey guys, anybody out there who wants to do a video with me, wants to talk about the market, I'm open. Call me up, I'll be there. I'll shoot video with you.
Exactly, and that's the key. By the way, when you have two people in a conversation like this, it makes it way more interesting. So a great point you just made, collaborate with each other, and you don't have to be in the same company, right?
Well, absolutely. Think of it like this. Have you ever seen a talk show where there's only a host?
I love that, right? That's a great point. Now, I'm just concluding that. What we're doing right now is exactly that. I could be talking, all I know but me. No, let's bring David. Let's bring Dina. Let's bring Brian. Let's bring the top agents, all right? Yeah. And let's share a conversation, and let's have the audience ask us more questions. That's the key. Copy this formula. This is for you. I work with international investors. I do a webinar a week. And all I'm doing is answering questions, but I also bring the mortgage broker, the title company,
Yeah.
Those people that can help me provide more value to my audience.
Yeah, nobody's omnipotent, and the market changes so much. And as long as we're talking to each other and we're sharing,
right,
collaborating, we're stronger together than we are apart, for sure.
Exactly. David, I said, Quinn says, I'm going to take you up on that, David. Of course, that's the idea. And then Montiel says, love the collaboration idea. I talk to other agents about it all the time. And that's the key, David. David, one piece of advice, for an agent that is getting started in the industry, and then a piece of advice for an experienced agent.
To an inexperienced agent, don't sell yourself short. The difference between sometimes the agents who are really doing it and those that aren't is merely confidence.
Right.
If you're really driven and you're really passionate, then go for it. Also, don't think it's a 9-to-5 job. Yep. It's definitely not a 9-to-5.
Very important. I listen to agents all the time, new agents coming to our program, and I ask them, where do you want to join real estate? And then they say, because of the flexibility, my own time, my own hours.
Oh God, I wish.
Oh God, I wish. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Yeah. So next question right here. David's secret weapon is Chris.
Yeah, Chris Blues, and actually the whole team. Like I said, it takes a village. Right. I would not be here without the support of others. And I think it's been said to me before, if you come back to that question you said about a new agent, okay, get an assistant.
Yep.
Just, if you can't afford it, find a way.
Listen.
Because as soon as you start building that framework, you'll never be able to just take 2 hands and 1 brain and be on your own and make it to the level that you want to make it.
Listen, extremely good point. We talk about 4 things, and somebody's asking me, Montiel is asking me about what is the email address for the black box. But part of what we teach on this is automation. I'm going to give you that email address right now. My pleasure. It's 4 things, right? Get an assistant. Well, first, you need to think about how can I either eliminate this activity? If not, can I automate that activity? If I can eliminate or automate, then can I delegate this activity, which what you've done very, very well. And finally, if I can either eliminate, automate, or delegate, then you can do it yourself. But those are very few things that you need to do yourself.
Yeah.
By the way, having a system is not that expensive. You can do $200-300 a month.
No, you just have to share, in the process, dare I say it, share the love. If you run a team, you've got to make sure that you're willing to fight for your team as well. You've got to sometimes take a bullet and protect them. That goes with the territory. We are right now in a process where with the new technologies, we are expanding the team. So if anybody wants to talk to us about that, is interested in the group, speak to Chris.
Perfect. So I'm gonna do it here. It's the best boss ever. That's a shout out to you from Christine.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. So somebody's asking me about the black box. I'm going to put my information here. If you guys want more information, and David, if you can put your information, or Christine can put it in here, your information.
Yes.
You want to reach out
Chris,
to David?
Put my email in there.
You want to reach out to me too, orlando@montielorganization.com. Reach out to me. I'll be more than glad to answer any questions about the black box or anything else. David, one piece, one last thing you want to say. How can we reach out to you in social media, for example? Oh, okay.
We're obviously, it's David Siddons Group. You can get us on Instagram. We're easy to find. My email is david@siddonsgroup.com. Then you can reach out to Chris, which is CRIS at siddonsgroup.com.
Okay.
Email us.
David's Instagram right now. If she can put it right here, I'll really appreciate it.
Chris, can you share that for us? That'd be great. Get us through there. And we also have, we have our WhatsApp. We also have our Zopim chat. So there's little chat bots that we all have in the corner of our sites. A lot of us have in the corner of our sites. You can chat with us online there as well. We're pretty easy to find. Look, we're open. It's for us, we're very much an open book. I've never been one to feel like keeping my cards too close to my chest. Maybe that's at my own cost, but I'd rather be that way. So, anything you want or need, reach out.
Excellent. David, listen, it's been a pleasure. Patricia says, great presentation, David. It's inspiring to see your generosity and sharing your knowledge. And I want to thank you today for being present. Anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you very much for having me. Look forward to us talking some more down the line. And everybody else, stay safe. Please stay safe. Be careful. Be well. And to everybody else out there doing this job. I know it's not a tough one. We're all in the same boat.
Right.
We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days, but we're all going to get through this.
Exactly. Definitely, we will. I want to do a plug here for us. We're doing a 40-day challenge for all of you guys. If you want to join the 40-day challenge, the question, David, right now is not when are we going to get out of this, right? The question is, what are we going to do right now to make sure that we set up the systems and we develop the skills so when we go back, right, to the market, okay, we are prepared. So we're doing a 40-day challenge. If you want to write to me, my email is right there, Orlando@Montiel Organization. We'll explain to you exactly how the 40-day challenge is. Right now, David, you're talking to agents and all they're doing is watching webinars, right? Perfect. One webinar here, one webinar there, but there is no clear path,
Yeah, it's adaptation. That's what we're doing right now. We're just adapting, learning a way to find our way through this. We're not going to wake up one morning and then this switches off. It's going to be a gradual process. Right. And we've all just got to kind of accept that and adapt to it. But, I see us making lemonade out of lemons for sure.
Yeah. All right, David. Right. Thank you very much for being here today. It's been a pleasure. Now we got to do this one live in our training room right here next time, like I did with Dina.
I look forward to it.
Right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I'll put some information right here. Thank you, David.